Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you right here on CKLU 96.7 FM. If you're listening on the radio, you could also stream us. If you don't have the old school radio or you're not listening in your car, you can stream us at cklu.ca. Stream us by just clicking on the Radio Player Canada app. You can download the Radio Player Canada app as well. Take us anywhere and listen to us anytime on your favorite device. You can also watch us and you can comment on the show because that's what the show is meant for. It's a community conversation, Sudbury News Talk about local events and issues, things that are important to us, the people that live here in Sudbury. And there's things that we discuss that are a broader worldview as well. So even if you're not from Sudbury, there's a lot of stuff that you can take away from the conversation and even be included in the conversation. We have people we see on the analytics from all over the world, some thanks to a Nick, and then some thanks to just people that are living abroad that are possibly from Sudbury. So feel free to like, share, subscribe, follow, and most of all, comment on social media, including Facebook and YouTube. The Facebook comments I'll be able to see on the big screen. The YouTube comments a little harder to see, but we get through it somehow, and I do my best to read them so that way the people on the radio can also have your comments be involved in the conversation as well. And we're live on Facebook.com/Sudbury News, YouTube.com/Sudbury News each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. And we're happy to have both of our guests on this morning. First of all, I'd like to welcome Anik, who was on the show yesterday, and she's here again today. So good morning, Anik. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning.
Are you doing good?
Yeah, I am. I'm doing my morning sharing of the show. So that's why I'm looking at my phone. Sorry, guys.
That's fine.
But I'm really excited for the show and excited that Billy's going to be on the show too.
Speaking of which, he's right here. He's in the studio. So good morning, Billy. And Nick, you're at home now, right? You're not where you were yesterday. You are in your bathroom. Is that where you are?
I am in my bathroom. I wanted a different background and a different lighting. And if you could only see my setup, this is like what you would see on Instagram. It just looks so nice. But if you saw what I actually see, and I'm in front of my sink, there's toilet paper in front of me. It's just, this is what reality is really like, that what you see online is not necessarily real.
Yeah. I like sometimes taking a wider view, a pan of the studios when, things like that. That'd be an interesting one. But anyways, thanks again for being with us from your bathroom live. From the studio is Billy. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good.
Good. So are you awake this morning or what? Are you getting the mojo?
It was a bit of a late start. Okay. And it's one of those days that I think I have to kind of, when you get out of bed and stub your toe and it kind of leads to the next bad thing. Uh-oh. So I was gonna nip it in the bud. And I'm nipping it in the bud. Putting on my Stuart Smalley face right now. It's gonna be great show.
Good. It is going to be a great show. I know that for sure. Now, that was my Friday. My Friday the 13th was exactly what you just described, maybe even worse. Everything that could have gone wrong was going wrong. But the show went well, and then after the show was fine. So I hope your day is the same. So speaking of that, let's get right in, get some weather, some sports, and then right into our conversation of all the news that's happening locally today. We'll be back right after this. So for Sudbury weather, it's brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. Lands on our sudbury.news Facebook page. And currently there is a freezing rain warning, just so everybody knows. Freezing rain warning out there. It's currently -4 in Sudbury. I'll just get the warning up here. There's a hazard of freezing rain, ice, accretion up to a few millimeters is possible on untreated surfaces. So this morning and into the afternoon, possibly freezing rain will transition to snow or rain through the day. So just a messy precipitation day when you're hovering around the 0-degree mark. Surfaces such as highways, roads, walkways, and parking lots may become icy and slippery. Slow down when driving in slippery conditions. Watch for tail lights ahead and maintain a safe following distance. So yes, also have a good scraper on hand, because if you're driving, you probably have a good layer of ice on your car, which I found this morning and had to take the time to take care of that. Anyways, -4 feels like -11. Periods of snow today, or ice pellets mixed with freezing rain, and the amount of 2 centimeters, like we just said. Temperature steady near -2. The wind chill near -7. Tonight, periods of snow with a risk of freezing drizzle. Amount of 2 centimeters again. The wind will be 20 kilometers per hour. Temperature steady near -3. It'll feel like -10 overnight. Wednesday, periods of light snow ending in the morning, then cloudy with a 30% chance of flurries, and the temperature will stay steady near -3. So it's not that cold out, and that's why we have the freezing rain. 7-day forecast, or whatever. We have 6 days here up on the screen, but tomorrow again, 30% chance of flurries, -3. Thursday, periods of snow, -6. Friday, chance of flurries, -5, 30% chance of flurries. And then Saturday, mix of sun and cloud, high of -5. And then again, another chance of flurries on Sunday and Monday as well. The highs go from -3 to -6 through these 6 days. So the temperatures staying pretty steady in that mild range. So with precipitation, again, very dangerous. A look at your satellite over the Northern Ontario region, a little bit into Minnesota, Upper Peninsula, a little bit of Quebec and Manitoba there, just to show you the broad view of the weather systems that are over us. And you can just see there's all kinds of activity going on, a lot of precipitation, a lot of cloud, and very little clearing. So that is your weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. And we'll be back with sports right after this. All right, and this is pretty big news because it doesn't always happen. And so we're going to be retiring a jersey, a number for the Sudbury Wolves. Highly decorated player of the Sudbury Wolves. Played 236 games with the team from 2003 to 2007 before moving on to the NHL. Mark Stahl's number 14 will be retired on February 3rd here in Sudbury at the Sudbury Arena. So that will be a great occasion. It's always a ceremony to see a jersey being hoisted to the rafters. Hopefully they make it a, are you going to see it going up like they do in the NHL? I have no idea even if we have the technology to do that. Or are we just going to present it and then the next game you come, it'll be up? Or is it going to be up there when we go there already? We don't know. And we lost Billy somehow. So hopefully he's going to be able to come back. Not sure what happened there. But anyways, hopefully we'll have him back. And we'll be back with news headlines right after this with a Nick. And hopefully Billy as well. And that was Sudbury Sports, brought to you by SudburySports.com. That's Randy Pascal's Sudbury Sports website where you can catch everything Sudbury Sports. All right, and we're back, at least with a Nick for the moment. And then again, I'm just not sure what happened to Billy. It could be
That's okay.
having one of those days, right? Remember he was saying
He's
that.
having one of those days, and we
Yeah.
know those days, and
yeah.
So
Happen
that's
quite
okay.
often. They're happening
Yeah.
quite often. We got a few shout outs here already this morning, so we want to get to some of those. Oh yeah, there's bad static and canceling, cannot hear
nothing. But I checked the sound on my end and I muted myself and I was able to hear okay. So I don't know, maybe things have gotten better. But I want to say good morning to Monique Dupree. Thanks for watching the show.
Yes. And then Nick says sounds good on my end.
Is it better now?
Yeah, I hope it's better now. And I know your internet connection when I was just introducing you, it was a bit whatever, not the greatest. It looks like it's better now. So
good.
I'm not sure if maybe that was part of what
maybe
Fern was talking about.
I had a knock on the door yesterday, and it was Eastlink telling me that they could give me better internet than Bell. That I'm actually having issues with my Wi-Fi. I'm maybe 5 feet away from my modem. I shouldn't be having bad internet, and I have 500, and I'm not getting the download and the upstream rate that I should be getting. So I don't know. Eastlink is giving me a deal, so I gave him a shot.
Oh, you're switching.
I'm switching. He's giving me a better price and he's saying I could get better internet. There's no contract. I'm like, I got nothing to lose. Plus he gets a sale and some commission. And I was like, okay, let's go.
Oh, they're doing the door-to-door thing again. That's interesting. Yeah. Wow,
yeah.
They must really be feeling the pinch of Bell dipping into their market. Well, Billy, welcome back.
Oh, yeah. Little glitch there. Computer crash or something.
Okay.
What did I miss? Who did you switch to?
Eastlink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're with Eastlink, Aaron, eh?
Yeah, it was the only internet provider we could get at the building. I was wanting to go for Bell for that whole reason, the fiber. But you know what? Eastlink has been fine so far. We've had some glitches, but I don't think it was Eastlink's fault per se. I think it was our own kind of setup inside. Am I correct?
I was told to buy these mesh routers, and these mesh routers are really good for Wi-Fi. And I could only buy a pack of 3, so I might bring one to the property.
Oh, really?
Okay. A stronger, Wi-Fi.
Oh, do you know anything about the mesh, Billy? Have you heard of that before?
No, not really. I've seen it advertised on the boxes when I walk around Best Buy, but yeah.
Well,
the glitches that I've had is just like the routers kind of doing weird sort of things that need to be reset. Like all of a sudden one person can't connect to it and one person can, and you have to unplug and plug back in.
Yes.
Which is great.
Old IT trick.
That's right. If that can solve it, then we're happy, right? So let's just see if we can get the view here, the 4-screen view, because that's what we're more than likely going to be using today. And as we can get to some of our stories, our headlines, lots to talk about. So first of all, bus cancellations. I hope it's not too late for people to hear about that.
Nope, it's still early because I was wondering about that. I let my cat out this morning. It's like, whoa, it is snowing. And I'm wondering if the buses are canceled, and they're not.
They're not in Sudbury, which is weird. It's the only jurisdiction in the area, like Espanola, Massey, West Nipissing, everyone around us, the buses are canceled except for Sudbury, which I thought was interesting. Because isn't the weather like really bad and icy there? Because I'm in Espanola currently, so.
True. It's getting icy and there's lots of snow, and usually when there's just snowing, it's being canceled. Remember back in the day, it never got canceled.
No.
It's getting canceled all the time. I'd be so interested to see if there's actually been more accidents with buses or kids or in general. Like our population is growing, so it would make sense that there'd be more accidents.
Possibly, yeah. And speaking of that, now that you just mentioned that, I'm going to have to just go scroll down here. There was an accident yesterday in around Albin, where it says
with a school bus. Okay.
With a school bus, yeah. So someone, I don't know, but got into a collision with a school bus. The driver involved in a 2-vehicle collision on Highway 64 in the Albin area yesterday morning. He's in hospital with serious injuries after crashing into a school bus, police say. And that's pretty much all of the details on the story. And so right away, I think, well, how do you crash into a school bus? The only thing I can think of is a distracted driver. I don't know. Do you guys have any other?
Well,
theories?
how do you exactly? It's big, it's yellow.
I know.
It doesn't really go very fast. So
And
it's
it
definitely
stops a lot.
Yes.
Come over a hill or around a corner, and
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not paying attention,
Still,
boom.
not paying attention. And
I'm always
yesterday
interested in the
road-
little exceptions. I'm sure there's exceptions out there where it's like, oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. And
no exceptions, Billy.
there's no exceptions.
No
This is
exceptions.
unacceptable. Unacceptable behavior.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Like it's hard to like. Can you picture someone broadsiding a bus? You know what I mean? Like you get a T-bone. I can't see that just because it's such a big, vehicle. But
Yeah, but you drive, and especially if you're driving into the sun in the morning,
oh, okay.
and you just like, it's pretty hard to see, and if the
A
sun's
yellow-
right there hovering over top of the school bus in your line of sight, that would be something.
Billy's come
And
up with
then
the one exception. There you go. That's
Hmm.
great.
True, you did. You
I'll
got
have
me
two
there.
more by the end
You
of
got
the day.
me. Also, the bus driver could have got onto the highway or gone onto the road,
Sure.
and they weren't paying attention.
That's true too. Yeah. So we don't have details now, but there is one person in hospital. The children on the bus were safe. So no one on the bus was injured. Just the person in the vehicle is still in hospital. We're waiting for the latest on that story. So we'll have more as more comes.
Yep.
So let's go through here. There is a missing person. I always like to include. I'm just going to share the full screen of this so that way people can get a look. For people watching, for people listening, we'll go through the description of the person. His name is Ronald Nancius, and he's 53, 5'10", medium build, gray hair, brush cut, and a gray goatee. He's wearing a brown tough duck jacket and a black helmet. Apparently, driving a black and white 2017 Polaris 600 snowmobile. Oh no, that's not good. That means that something could have happened as he was out snowmobiling. Last seen Saturday, the 14th of January, at Elbow Lake, south of Sudbury. If you have had any contact with Ronald or have any information regarding his whereabouts, please contact Ontario Provincial Police at 1-800-310-1122. 1-888-310-1122. And that's just a picture of him for those on YouTube or Facebook so they can have a look to see what he looks like.
I hope he's okay, and I hope there was no accident. But snow machining, there's always an accident. Snow machining is really dangerous. I love snow machining, but it is dangerous. You got to be careful out there. And those sleds that they are making these days are fast, and they're always hitting a tree. That's the problem. There's lots of trees.
But at least someone like you takes a lot of precaution and doesn't go too fast on the snow machine, I noticed.
My sleds are classics. You can't go that fast.
Well, you're always, but yeah. So, yeah,
Well,
that's true.
I guess if my brother was driving it, but we could go fast. But
yeah, when I was snowmobiling and we were snowmobiling, it was pretty fast. There's no doubt about it. But we were on open trails, just straight ahead. Like we weren't kind of in areas where we could have hit anything, which is really great. But yeah, snow machines can go really, really, really fast. The new ones especially. Ouch. Do they even need to go that fast? I don't know. If you're not racing or something. Crazy.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we hope the best for Ronald. And if you do have any information, please contact the OPP. So here's one I'd like to get to if we have time. It's Justin Trudeau was in Saskatchewan, I believe, yesterday, but he didn't tell the Premier of Saskatchewan he was going to be there. And then I guess last minute he found out, and there was a big press conference, and the premier had to change his schedule and everything to get to the press conference to be with the prime minister. It was just unannounced. He just came there. So I just want to get his response on that. So we'll get back to that. We already covered that Mark Stahl's number 14 will be retired February 3rd at the Sudbury Arena. Now, I don't know much about this. I don't know if any of you guys were able to read this story or know much about it. The headline from Sudbury.com is City launches Urban Forest Master Plan. And it wants to hear from you or us from Sudbury. The city's launching an Urban Forest Master Plan. It wants to hear from residents, which would be us.
So the article is saying the intent is to look at forests in our urban areas to understand the function they serve, where it serves best, and where we have the opportunity to improve.
Yeah.
It's really meant to go nicely hand in hand with a lot of the regreening work we do in the rural areas, and it is also piggyback nicely off some of the other policies we've done. Interesting.
Yeah, Greater Sudbury, it says here, which I'll just read it because it says it so well. Greater Sudbury is so green these days, it is time to put a plan in place. We've done such a good job with the regreening, right? And now, do they want to keep it that way? Is that what we're doing? Do we want to just kind of... So, Shabbat, who is the senior planner with the city, explained urban forests are not just large, expansive spaces laced with walking trails. A forest could be just a couple of trees. Urban forest is any tree soil, or any related infrastructure that's in our urban settlement areas. She said it can be simple as a single tree in your front yard, all the way to a conservation area south side of Ramsey Lake. So a forest could be even just soil that could be something to plant on. That's an interesting. Definitions seem to be changing so much today. I have to keep up on my definitions of what things are, because if I just look at a plot of dirt on the ground, it's now a forest, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems like a good thing, though, eh? Having people kind of, at least, pulling for nature and greenery.
Nothing
if you
wrong with
don't,
that.
you kind of like the attrition process tends to wean that stuff away if nobody's got their eye on it. So
Yeah,
I like the sound of a group keeping tabs on that and working
this is
to
this is
preserve
the
it.
yeah, no, you're 100% right, Billy, and I know that I feel the same way. I love nature, and we all do. The thing is when you have governments getting involved with nature, though, weird things happen sometimes, because there's, when they present bills, laws and stuff, and they throw in other things like in the background, and it's like, well, how did that get in there? It's almost like the new amendments to the gun bill. It's like last minute they threw in all these guns and all these stipulations, and it was like, what? So it can become
Oh yeah.
political.
Yeah, there's always a concern, like they're going to tell us what kind of trees that we're allowed to plant.
Yeah. Or
But the
you
article
can't have a
talks about
driveway
how-
because your front lawn is a protected forest
tree.
area,
Right.
because there's soil there, so you can't build a driveway. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So is it going to go above and beyond, common sense is what I'm always worried about.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the article's talking about really good things and positive things that trees can do, like help mental health, create shade on hot days, things like that. It's interesting article. It's actually refreshing to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're always like, what's really going on here? So that's great though. If it's just a group of people that are like, you know what? It's green. We want to keep it green. And there's some areas in the South End that don't have a lot of trees. So we're looking at what kind of
Yeah.
tree would be best for that type of environment.
I guess.
That's
But-
kind of cool.
But since regreening, has anyone in Sudbury ever said there's not enough trees? Anybody? Like, do you see a
No.
shortage of trees anywhere
No.
in this area?
Maybe in the new subdivisions, they're destroying all the trees. And then they're building houses, and then now they're replanting some trees. And
Yeah,
there's a lot of construction happening in the valley, and they're killing forests. And then where are these animals going? And that's what they're trying to bring back the chipmunks and,
That's right. This could be a bit of a response to like the new Doug Ford thing, where it's like, well, they can
Yes.
bypass these bylaws and just put
Mhm.
new developments in.
Yep.
So it's kind of like a counter to that, maybe, where it's like, well, we need a voice to say, no, don't develop here.
Yeah.
Don't don't develop around the lake or lakes or.
Yeah. And I'm all for that. I'm all for common sense and stuff like that too. It's just, again, you just have to watch the way things are being put out. Are they telling the whole story? What are they actually trying to do here? Is it because people love trees? Because I see so many of the people that say they're for the environment, but it's just always seems to be so political. They actually don't really care about the environment. They just care about a position they hold or whatever.
yeah.
But you're going to get a spectrum, right? There's always going to be people at that end of the spectrum, and there's going to be people at the other end of the spectrum who are generally, into it for the right reasons.
Yeah,
It's true.
but I think a lot of people
Until
already
we
take
get-
pride. They take pride in their own property. A lot of people already want to plant a tree on their own. Like they if they own their property, they take pride in it and they want to beautify it. And a lot of times it includes nature. They put the seed things up. The birds come. They love the chipmunks. They love, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a natural
interesting.
thing. Yeah. So I don't know why
I
they
think,
have to
I think it
mandate
does
things.
fall under like some city planning too, though, because if you, I think that's the argument. If you don't have city planning and you just had some huge,
It's just
billionaire
the
buy up all
article.
this stuff, you can't.
Yeah.
How do you protect against it?
The article says trees are great for stormwater management and mental health, and they're great for aesthetic purposes and climate change. The bang for your buck with trees is wonderful. We want to leverage that opportunity as much as we can for our residents. I don't need you, City of Sudbury, to tell me if I need a tree or not.
Well, that's what I mean. And then when they say climate change, do you think you're going to plant a tree in your yard that's going to help climate change? Canada is one big tree. Canada has the most trees. Like if you use the argument of trees for climate change, then there is no climate change. There's so many trees in the world, and the amount of carbon dioxide that they take in and the oxygen that they put out, they solve the whole problem right there if you really look at the science. So I don't know if a couple trees in Sudbury, why do they even use the thing? It's good for climate change. Like you do, how many trees is Sudbury going to plant? Is that going to make a difference in the world for climate change? That is bizarre. Now that's political. That's political.
And then we're like a mining town.
Yeah, exactly. Go look
And
behind
we're
my old
opening
house. Yeah. Go look behind my old house in Coppercliff and the tailings ponds and all that stuff, and just get an aerial view of what that landscape looks like. And you're going to plant 2 trees in your yard, and that's going to make all the difference. It's just
interesting.
hypocritical in a lot of ways. It's just not right. But anyways, we got our say in this, which is great. The deadline to take the urban forest survey over to you, I guess it's called. So it's going to be our survey that it's going to be our plan, right? It's February 10th. So the Sudbury Star article, does it have a link to the survey somewhere? I don't see one. I don't know where we're taking this survey. I haven't seen it. So
again, I
search
think
for
we're
it.
just skeptical with the city. So
Mhm.
they need to build trust with us, because
There you
there's
go.
always something around the
Yeah.
corner. I'm going to take it for face value. It's nice that people are like, oh, we want to take care of the trees. And maybe these big companies that are just taking down all the forests to build more homes, which we have a housing crisis, maybe keep up some trees and have a plan to help these animals that need a new home.
Exactly. Hey, Jerome. Good morning, Jerome. Hope you're having a good one. Appreciate the comments. Keep the comments coming in, because the next story too, union calls CRA labor complaint hypocritical ahead of the strike votes and tax season. The Canada Revenue Agency, or the CRA, has filed an unfair labor practices complaint against the union representing taxation employees, claiming it is not bargaining in good faith. So you guys are aware that the government is now wanting employees to come back to the office, right? And this is starting to create some animosity from the employees who don't want to go back to the office.
I'm hearing this even at Valet. So a lot of big bosses were working from home. They got $10,000 to build their own office, and now they're asking them to come to the office. And my friend's a boss underground, so he has to go to the mine. And he's like, "Poor you, you need to come back to work."
Yeah, you got to drive to your office and sit in front of your computer here instead of at home.
Say, "I can't walk my dog." Well, that's sorry, but this is, so people have been spoiled.
Yeah. And so, and it's a lot of the people that were so, when government mandates came out, they were so behind them. Like, everyone's got to listen to whatever the government says. But then when the government tells you, or your business tells you, you got to go back to work. Well, now there's a fight from them to say, no, I don't want to go back to work. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Like, if you have a job where you can work from home, and you have to, maybe, sure. But do you know how much the security of the country is compromised if you have federal employees working from home? Really? Did you think about that at all? All the security features, China can easily hack into somebody's home modem and get information on highly secure information with someone's working from home. So I think our national security has been totally compromised through this whole thing with these government workers all working from home anyways. So, but this is what they said. So during the pandemic, they were hiring people from all over, because it didn't matter where you lived. If you got hired at the CRA, you could live in North Bay, Temiskaming, wherever, and you can work a job from Sudbury, because it was a work from home position at the time they were hired because of the pandemic. But now that they're saying come back to the office, it's like, well, wait a minute, I live in North Bay. I can't come into Sudbury. When I heard that on the news yesterday, I almost wanted to bang my head against the dash of the car and think, well, what were these people that were doing the hiring at the CRA thinking in the first place? The pandemic would just never stop? Like, they would never have a time when they'd have to come back to the office? You know what I mean? Like, really? Honestly, like, okay, how you been living?
I think there was a general sentiment that was, the new normal.
Okay.
Things were going to be kind of like, that way from here on in.
But
I just thought that was weird.
That's kind of silly to think about, because things are always changing all the time. We didn't see the pandemic even happen, and that shifted. So it just makes sense that things just keep shifting. And if your employer wants you back at work, unfortunately, you're an employee. You have to listen to your employer. But I get it. They're really mad. The article is talking about how they're really mad, and they want to strike. It's just okay.
Yeah. So Jerome, and I'm glad Jerome says the cybersecurity follows them with the laptop, but you have to know that firsthand. I was working for this organization during the time. I was actually on the hotline telling people how they can get their CERB and all this. Jerome says that the security follows them with their laptop, but that is highly untrue. That is true with the laptop you're using, but I was using my home computer for a lot of things.
But there's no.
Yeah. So you know how you have your cell phone and Siri? You can just say, Siri, do this. I hope my cell phone isn't going to go off when I say that. But anyways, or Alexa. So it's always listening to you. It's always listening to you. Or else it wouldn't be able to come on and answer a question when you ask it a question. So it has to be listening. So it has to listen to everything you do. So you have your personal cell phone right beside your other cell phone, and you're on the phone talking to people with classified information. That is security compromise. When I was working in the building here in Sudbury, I could not bring my cell phone. It had to be turned off or whatever at first. And then they allowed us to turn on our cell phones and just not use them at our desk, which I think the security of our nation was compromised right then and there anyways. So it's not very secure. People don't understand how not secure our Canadian government
Also,
operations are.
in your home, you don't have security when it comes to your internet. So
No.
as soon as someone can get onto your Wi-Fi or your internet, they can get into your laptop. The firewall security is not as strong.
No, exactly.
That's a whole department at the CRA.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's crazy. It's I don't know. So this is the real crazy thing. So if they go on strike, guess who doesn't get their tax returns done?
Ooh, that's okay.
So a lot of people depend on that time of year, right? For
Ooh,
little,
that's right.
you
I owe money, so I'm okay.
Billy, you're gonna
Yeah,
say?
or no, I just say, yeah, they could just go with a flat tax from here on in. There, solve the problem.
Yeah, for
That'd be
sure.
nice. We all pay the same tax. That'd
Yep.
be nice.
And Cliff was saying government uses a VPN. They do. And again, I explained you do get your laptop, which has security features on it. But I was doing all kinds of things with my own computer while I was on the job. And their computer, it was a duct tape together thing. There was a lot of compromising going on with our security with people working from home. Yeah, that's why it needs to be so secure. You need credentials to get into a lot of areas in the building and stuff. And then when you have all these people out and about, sure, you can be on your VPN at Tim Hortons, but that doesn't mean someone drinking their coffee behind you in the next booth is just looking at what you're doing. You know, you have a home security camera. Well, who's monitoring that? ADT or whatever. Who owns those? Like if it's owned by foreign interests and their cameras right in your house, your home webcam is looking at your laptop from work that's on a VPN, but you're being spied on through other things. So, there's no security.
Possibility.
It is. It's
all a possibility. And if someone wanted to do it, it's not that difficult. That's the problem. If there are concerns, if there are other people that want to tap into your network, they can. If they know what they're doing, they can. So, this is Canada Revenue Agency. It's kind of a big deal. It's not like it's me personally, where someone's attacking me personally. But if someone wants to attack Canada and just like shut down their system, it's happened before. Where, like with Rogers, for example, they didn't say that it was someone that tapped into their network, but remember it shut down? People were like, what happened? And they didn't really have any answers. Like, oh, did someone hack into your system? So you just never know.
And that's a new thing. I thought we were going to share that. I had a story ready to go for yesterday, but we didn't get to it, about all these cybersecurity attacks that are going on, all these cyber attacks that are going on with all this, like you said, all these corporations and organizations, and there are people that will do anything, and governments have the most skilled, highly skilled, trained computer guys who know what the heck they're doing, and that's their job, is to try and hack and get in and try and find ways. So they're not, if I could just right off the top of my head think of a few ways of getting information, I'm sure they're light years ahead of me on how they can get into different things and whatever. And if you're not totally like, in a building full of lead and everything is 100% secure and firewall after firewall, VPN, you know what I mean? Just one thing after another, and you're not overly secure, there's ways that's going to be compromised. So I'm just saying that's pretty lackadaisical. If you're bringing things home, there's things that can happen in between where you are and the office. Anyways, this is an interesting story. We have to move on from one Canadian topic to another. There was a moose that closed down Windy Lake Park because it was too aggressive. So this is a story that can only come to you from our neck of the woods, I think.
I'm pro moose, and I like the moose. He's just like taking back his territory.
Oh,
you know? You know,
like
I'm
that.
pissed off, and this is my land, and you stay away from me.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, just before we move on, we have a couple comments here. Miles Shields says he remembers working at the CRA and had the impression that management never worried about security, but only the productivity within departments. Thank you, Miles. That is true. Yeah, I had the same feeling. That's, I mean, you don't know until you actually work there. And Cliff saying his wife works for EI, which I also did just before doing what I'm doing now. I was working at home for them as well. If someone is going back, if someone's going back the government systems, it doesn't matter where people are working from. Like you said, if they want it, they can get in. No, that's true. It's true. It just takes it's a little easier if someone's working from home than if you're in Fort Knox kind of thing and everything's there. Thanks, AJ. Technologies, the double-edged sword. Where does one hire a hacker? Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of the governments will get these guys, right? These people that are really good at hacking and they're working for the dark side. They'll just hire them to work for them because they're so good at what they do. They'd rather working for them than, for other purposes. So China's doing the same thing. They have the best of their best in their country, hackers. Every country's got their best people all trying to get into each other country's stuff, and they're good at it. They're great at it. And we don't realize that we have zero security where we're at. Just the common person has zero security. Everything we do is tracked, monitored, listened to, watched, every single step. You cannot avoid it. Our data is out there. And again, that's the thing. Like when we send our data into the CRA, we hope that it's secure, right? But if you have someone working from home with your secure information and then someone hacks into it, well, they got your information now. Even though you're doing everything you can to keep it secure, your information is with some other entity and they've been hacked and now you're compromised. Your stuff is out there, right? So yeah, back to the Moose.
So the Moose, they're closing the park and it's affecting other areas, especially the ski chalet and the trails. So I could just assume that a lot of people are upset about it. And it's interesting because if you see a moose, what do people usually do?
I'm in awe, first of all, when I see a moose. I'm like, whoa.
Stand there.
Yeah,
and
you
they
just
take
stand.
pictures of the moose.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the moose probably, I don't know how aggressive the moose was, but we need to leave them alone.
Yeah. But again, if they're in where we are, right? If they're in like a public area, like if you're camping in a provincial park and you paid money to be there and then a moose comes to you, it's kind of like we're both together in each other's land in a way. Like you're
Yes.
in your rightful place camping and then they're in their rightful place. And so how do you both get along in the same area, right?
How long has it been there for?
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't say.
Doesn't seem like it would be too long before they remove it.
No. He says there's no report incidents within the park that involved the public. Park staff closed the area as soon as it was determined there was a risk to public safety.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think anyone's really camping out there right now.
But it says since then, there have
Yeah.
been several incidents of staff being charged by the moose.
So the staff, yeah, for sure.
But I really hope they don't put the moose down.
Oh, me too. Again, well, if you're a hunter and it's hunting season, I mean, that's what happens.
But it's not hunting season right now.
It's
It's
not
just so
hunting
funny
season.
that
That's
now it's not hunting season and here's a moose.
Exactly. It's human season for him.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's only fair. It's
I
only
guess
fair
so.
that they have human season.
Yeah. Downtown, dangerous drugs leading to spike in overdoses in Sudbury. Frontline workers warn that more toxic substances may be circulating locally. I think this is just an ongoing story myself. I don't even know, unless we put an end to all of this stuff. The health unit has received reports of an increase in number of overdoses from the use of substances. 'Substances in Greater Sudbury. 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 'Substances While we cannot confirm that the substances are causing the overdoses, the situation serves as an important reminder to the community that street drugs may be cut or mixed with substances such as benzos, fentanyl, carfentanil. And so the Public Health and Safety District said in a release, frontline workers warn that more toxic substances may be circulating locally. So they're finding more and more overdoses than usual. So they're...
They have any numbers?
I didn't see anything there of numbers. No. Again, they say there's more. So,
this is an interesting article about the YMCA.
I know it's losing near $750,000 annually.
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
That's not good for business.
I mean, it does cater to the less, the lower economic, to give people like seniors a place to go play cards, people with low income, place to go work out and stuff. So it's one of those ones that fall kind of more as a community service than a for-profit kind of venture.
Yeah. As I said, though, let's just check. Go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just going to say, I don't know what the entire numbers look like, but I always sort of put in the ratio. How many taxpayers do you figure there are in Sudbury area contributing to that?
Yeah.
You are right, too. Billy says the center itself, there's 700 members who are 50 plus who take part in varieties of activities. But it owns a lot of property too. The YMCA building on Durham Street is a condominium. It owns 60,000 square feet, and the city owns 3 units, including the Parkside Center, which is nonprofit rent.
Yeah, and that's meant for seniors mostly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
Well, let's just check in. The CTV did a little story.
The YMCA in Sudbury is uncertain right now. It's on track to lose as much as $750,000 a year, and administrators say big changes are needed to stay afloat. CTV's Alana Everson reports.
Officials with the YMCA of Northeastern Ontario say other Ys in North Bay and Timmins are in good shape financially, but that's not the case in Sudbury. The Durham Street location is on track to lose between $700,000 and $750,000 a year and needs big changes to stay afloat.
We aren't prepared to put the entire association at risk by continuing to just lose money here. So we would have to enter some form of restructuring post March 31st if we couldn't guarantee its viability.
Officials with the Y confirm talks are ongoing with the City of Greater Sudbury about viable options. The YMCA building on Durham is a condominium. The Y owns 60,000 square feet, and the city owns 3 units, including the Parkside Center, which the nonprofit rents. At the center, there are 700 members who are 50 plus, who take part in a wide variety of activities.
I'm hopeful that that there will be a positive long-term solution, a viable one that will allow the building to operate into the future in a very sustainable manner.
One change the Y in Sudbury would like to see is a new agreement with the city over its share of utility costs for the building.
We are in a condo that's shared ownership with the City of Greater Sudbury, and they're one of the original partners in the Centre for Life. So we're having conversations with them as to how we might open up our condominium definitions document and reshift that utility split, recognizing that over 22 years, the usage in each of our units has changed.
Francis confirms talks with the city includes other ideas like increasing membership and making better use of the square footage the YMCA owns in the building. Alana Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
Yeah, so do you see anything there where it said other communities in the north, they're financially okay, but Sudbury's not?
Not Sudbury.
Does anything stand out to you in that way? Like, why is that?
Yeah, I don't know. Do they have like that size of facility? Like, how's our facility compared to theirs? You know, and again, they mentioned utility costs. Like,
It
you know,
sounds like the city is renting space from the YMCA. Is that correct? Is that what it sounded like?
yeah, I
They're
didn't
a
quite get that
partner.
either. So, condominium with 3 units, is that what they're saying?
I think it's just
Yeah, they have.
deemed. I think it's just it is a condominium. I think under the definition of what kind of
Right.
building it is. So,
Mhm. Yeah. I guess my point being,
I
I
think.
don't know if it's well run or not. Like
Mhm.
assuming that it's reasonably well run, if it was losing 750,000 a year,
yeah.
I think, what is that? I don't know if it's a popular sort of perspective, but really, if there's 75,000 taxpayers in the region, that's like a $10 a year
Yeah.
contribution, to help subsidize a place for these people to go,
So
which
yeah.
if it was presented to me in that way, I would say,
Mhm.
well, sure.
But this is my point.
Well,
Why does like it's like if I have a house and it's just and I'm making my mortgage payments and I plan to build it whatever, and then a Nick has a house, she planned to build it, she's making her mortgage payments, and you plan to build a house and you're not able to make your mortgage payments. Well, what went wrong with your planning of making that house before you made it that made it so that you couldn't even afford it? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
why
Well, again,
why
it's
are we
providing a
not able
service.
to? What's that?
Well, again, it's like it's a place for seniors. I don't think they charge full rate for like seniors and low
well,
income people.
who creates a business without knowing the plan and the cost? I know costs have gone up, but
Yeah.
you're a business. It's a nonprofit organization, but you need to break even, and to lose $750,000, that's a lot. And if something like Miles is saying pools are large and they're costing a lot, well, then maybe you have to take away the pools until you can raise enough money. I don't know if the taxpayers are paying for this, but at the same time, the city's building $100 million library. So maybe instead of building $100 million library, they can use services like the YMCA, where our older communities can use these services, because I don't know a town that doesn't have a YMCA. That's part of
Yeah.
our culture. That's part of our community. But a fancy library is something that we don't need in our Sudbury
What I
downtown.
Well,
Yeah, does this go with, what happened with our university?
Yeah. How come that university? I've never heard of a university going bankrupt in my life.
No. What about our hospital? Is our hospital making money?
No.
well, it probably is.
Well,
Do we see the numbers? Like,
they're
I
told
don't know,
they
what
don't
does
have
it
enough. They
charge for
can't.
surgeries and stuff? Like,
Yeah, they can't get linens. There's shortages of linens. They don't have enough room for people. It's not
yeah.
functioning. Is it functioning well? Let's put it that way. Is it
Well,
functioning like it should
no
be?
one really knows. We don't see the numbers. So,
Yeah. From what we hear in the news is that it's not. They can't get linen for people in there. They get in there, they wait in the waiting room for hours
yeah.
and hours and hours and take numbers, and are treated like cattle. And
Well,
then
I don't know if you can equate that they're not making money. Like that in particular had to do with, that they're outsourcing down to Toronto for the cleaning of it.
yeah, we're
But
actually told they're not making money though.
I've heard. I thought he was praised as doing, very well for the hospital. That
For
it's been
raising money for capital projects.
so.
He's known for raising money for capital projects. The very thing that got him into hot water at Laurentian, which bankrupt them. But now they get this 50-50 draw thing going on, so they can just get free money every single month from the 50-50 draw. So that's going to bail them out of any financial problems there. But no, they were in financial hardships. The hospital was too small.
Do we know what they bring in a year financially? Like,
We can get that. Yep.
yeah.
That'd be
Well,
interesting
if we
to look at.
saw what they bring in, what they, their expenses, if we could see that,
Yeah.
then we would know.
But what I hear from people is that the service is terrible. They're treated very horribly. The service is terrible. They don't have enough nurses. They don't have enough in the budget. The budgets are always too low. They need more budget, which tells you don't make enough money. They don't have enough parking for the people there.
I don't know.
The
These
facilities
things aren't-
themselves aren't big enough. That's what I know for sure.
I think we're mixing issues here.
So Cliff, we have a comment. It says, plenty of stories in the news about the hospital operating in the red.
Exactly. So there you go, Billy. It's factual.
It's just
All right, show me the numbers.
factual. It's
They're
an
not
ongoing
transparent
story
either,
in our
so-
city. It's an ongoing story in our city, and it's getting really tiring to hear this constantly. And then there's all these other new projects that they're bringing in, and it's just like, let's fix our infrastructure here that's going on.
Yep.
Let's help a community or a business like the YMCA. Let's not move a guy who made one business bankrupt to our hospital.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that,
It just sounds like, again, it's just, we don't trust the city. I don't trust the city. I feel like there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of a big boys club, and it's just nothing is ever really improving in our city. But yet you go to other cities and it just sounds like they're doing so much better than us. And it's just, why is that the case? And we bring in a lot of money. I was talking to my brother, and I was talking about like a collapse in the economy, but Sudbury might be okay because there's so much money happening in Sudbury. So I just feel like we shouldn't be having these issues that we're having.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Miles says public run entities always run a deficit paid by taxpayers.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a fan of too much of that. But yeah, so this story just seemed to be similar to what we always hear in Sudbury. There's a big Capitol building. This is one of the largest buildings in downtown. It's losing money. It's in like, where was the foresight? Where was the planning? Where was when we were building this in the first place, all these promises, especially you go back in the news, they're like, oh yeah, it's going to be sustainable. We're going to have this, we're going to have that. Well, they were wrong.
Again.
They were wrong. It's not sustainable. It's losing $1 million a year almost. Like, come on. Like, that's not sustainable. So whoever is involved in the planning of this, and are we going to just continue with the same old thing, planning for the future? And now we're planning, a plot of dirt is a forest. And that's the people planning our city and our future. That's a forest now. And so it's going to be protected area. I have no idea what that means, but anyways, that's,
I don't know. That's kind of making a jump. It's,
yeah, but I can do that, Billy. I'm allowed to do that.
It could be a group that's concerned about preserving green spaces.
It could be. The devil's advocate, you've definitely played a perfect role today for that, and I really appreciate it. And it is true. We need to did hear the hospital cleaning may be outsourced to Toronto, yes. And our laundry as well, and that's why we're not able to get linens.
This is true, this is factual. We've outsourced our cleaning to Toronto.
Yep.
A company.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Not Toronto. I think it's Windsor or something even further. Yeah. Wow. So they clean our laundry and then ship it up, which is really good for the climate, right? So yeah, it makes sense. Right. Everyone's concerned about the climate.
That's one of the results of sort of tightening the belt, looking at the bottom line and going, oh, we could save some money here.
But in the
which
end,
seems like a responsible thing, but that money is now down in Toronto, where before it used to go local. Circulate locally, better services for people. We had linens all the time.
And people made that argument at the time. People made that argument.
Than just that one bottom line.
We need good leaders. We need good people in positions of making decisions that these things, we're seeing the fruits of people's decisions right now all around us. And so it's not done in a dark place in a corner somewhere. This is right out in the open. It's in the news. It is what it is. This is what's happening. Why did it happen? This could have been prevented. Anyways, other communities make it work. What's that?
It's usually lack of transparency, in my opinion, that leads to these problems.
But other communities have lack of transparency too, but they don't have these problems. So at least they have it a little bit better. They're able to have a YMCA that actually is sustainable. We can't here. We can't have an arena here. We can't have a YMCA that is sustainable, but we can have $100 million library. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever to me. It might make sense to someone else, but not to me.
No.
Yeah.
It's 8:33.
I haven't seen the library.
I know.
Yet. We'll see how that goes.
This is the special 2-hour edition of Sudbury News Talk. We appreciate you guys commenting today. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Nick and Billy, for being here. And thank you, especially Billy, for being that devil's advocate and having that other voice, or else we'd all just be agreeing with each other all the time. And we don't want that either. So, okay.
No.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
you.
We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Sudbury News
Have a
Talk.
great day.
Oh, ciao. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU.